Hey guys, good morning. We're going to go ahead and get started. The bell ringer today is on personal, possessive, indefinite, and reflexive pronouns. These are some notes that you need to get in your journal now, please. Take the headphones off. So you have in number one for your bell ringer today, you have these notes to go in your journal. You can copy and paste them, please. The first one's talking about personal pronouns. Personal pronouns are going to be those words that could describe any person without using their name. I, you, he, she, it, we, they, me, him, her, us, them. Okay? Sometimes somebody may say something like, please don't use a pronoun, and that's because they need you to be more what? Specific. Right, exactly. Good. Take the headphones out while I'm teaching, okay? They need you to be more specific. All right, possessive pronouns mean ownership, but with those non-specific. My, mine, our. Yes, no, you have to. You can copy and paste it. It would be a lot easier than typing it. It's, his, her, theirs, your, and yours. Okay? Indefinite pronoun, it does not refer to a specific person, thing, or amount. So it's not definite. What does definite mean? If something's definite, what is it? For sure, right? Yeah. It's like solid. It's precise. Exactly. Good, Gavin. So if it's indefinite, then it does not refer to anything specific. Does not refer to any specific person, thing, or amount. Like all, another, everyone, many. Okay, then we have the last one for today is reflexive pronouns. I'm running out of room. Reflexive pronouns are like myself, yourself, so they're reflected on to another. Myself, yourself, itself, ourselves. Make sense? Okay. All right, questions about the bell ringer? Questions, remember to do Control, Enter, bump down to the next page, and put the most recent at the top. Okay, anybody have any questions about nouns that we talked about today or about the bell ringer before we move on? All right, we're going to go ahead and jump into Bud Not Buddy because your context clue today is actually a practice. So it's going to be done independently. So we're going to go ahead and have Bud Not Buddy class time where we're going to read together, and then I'm going to explain what you're going to be doing by yourself independently, and I'll cut the video off so that you can have time to work. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and do everything that we need to do together, and then I'm going to give directions and let you go. So it'll be a little bit shorter class today. So if you will open up your book, please, to chapter 2. page, if you've got a book like mine, it's page 9. And we are going to jump time. How many of you have ever read a book where it seems to skip around in time and you felt lost? Have you ever had an experience with a book like that? So sometimes in text, the author will jump around in time and you will get confused until you read a little bit into the next chapter and try to figure out what's going on, what's taking place. And Christopher Paul Curtis actually does that here at the beginning of chapter 2. I'm going to go ahead and set the stage for you. When we left Bud, where was he? Lily, where was Bud when we left him? He was getting ready to move out of okay, like it's like an orphanage. He was like in an orphanage and he was getting ready to move out. They had gotten him a family. Okay. Oh gosh, I think I just ripped my dress. Okay, he had just gotten a family that's possibly going to adopt him. And Amina, what were you going to say? Jerry. He was on the bed next to Jerry trying to comfort him because he's also been adopted.
It's the scariest thing you can think of because you lose control of your tongue at the same time. Chapter 2.
Okay, what's wrong? So there's a jump in time. We have concluded that at the end of chapter 1, Bud is at the orphanage and he's being told that he's got a family that he's going to go live with, a foster family, okay? Now, this skips time. That whole car ride to get to that house and the social worker dropping him off and all that, we don't hear any of that. When we pick up at the beginning of chapter 2, he is living with this other family and he is fighting with the little boy that's 2 years older than him. So it starts out with, there comes a time when you're losing a fight, it doesn't make sense to keep on fighting. So I'm going to go ahead and set the stage for you so you can go ahead and get set in your mind's eye as you're reading that he is fighting with the little boy of the foster family that he has been taken in by. Okay? So all that whole jump from the orphanage, the car ride, the getting settled in, we don't see any of that. Does that make sense? All right, here we go.
There comes a time when you're losing a fight that it just doesn't make sense to keep on fighting. It's not that you're being a quitter. It's just that you've got the sense to know when enough is enough. I was having this thought because Todd Amos was hitting me so hard and fast that I knew that the blood squirting out of my nose was only the beginning of a whole long list of bad things that were about to happen to me. Todd's next punch crashed into the side of my ear, and I fell on the floor and pulled my knees up to my chest and crossed my arms in front of my head like a turtle in a shell. I started scooching toward the bed, hoping I could get under it. Todd started kicking.
All right. I crossed my arms in front of my head like a turtle in a shell. What literary element is that? Gavin. What literary element is that? Like a turtle in a shell. What literary element is that? Like a turtle in a shell. Like. Somebody at home unmute and tell me these kids are just staring at me. Like a turtle in a shell. Nobody can help me. Like a turtle.
He's trying to protect himself.
Okay, but what literary element is it? He is trying to protect himself. You're exactly right. What example of what? I got a hand. Okay, but what? You're exactly right. But what literary element is it? What example is it? It's an example of a. Starts with an S. Gracie. You're close. Starts with an S, and that's a good literary element word, but that's not it. Nobody knows. When you compare two things, saying one thing is the other, using the words like Nobody knows what that is.
A synonym.
It is not a synonym. That's what Gavin said. It's a It's a what? It's a simile. Have you heard that before? I'm so hungry. I'm hungry as a horse. He crawled in his head like a turtle in a shell. It's definitely describing how it's cowering down, but it uses a simile. It's comparing him to a turtle. Is he a turtle? No, so it's comparing two things that are not the same using like or as. That's something you should have learned across the street. Have you not talked about similes before? You have, okay? Now the question becomes what the question that you guys have already answered. The question becomes, what is the effect of the simile? Why did the author put it there? Why did Christopher Paul Curtis include that here? To show what, Destiny? You said it already. What'd you say earlier? It's showing what? He's what? You just said it. He's afraid. He's scared. He's cowering down, right? And that simile is describing that there. Does that make sense? So you need to pay attention and look for similes. If I can get you to get context clue questions right and simile metaphor questions right on the EOG, you will pass. Those are two huge chunks. We got to get those questions right. We're going to be doing lots of them. All right, let's keep going.
Me, but his slippers couldn't hurt me near as much as his fists had. The bedroom door opened and his mother, Mrs. Amos, came in. It seemed like she was having a hard time figuring out what was going on because Todd's right leg got tired from kicking me and he switched over to his left one while she watched. Finally, Mrs. Amos said kind of soft, "Toddy?" Todd looked up, fell on his knees and put his hands on his throat. He started huffing and puffing with his eyes bucking out of his head and his chest going up and down so hard that it looked like some kind of big animal was inside of him, trying to bust out. This was my chance to get under the bed and pull the covers down so they couldn't see me. Mrs. Amos ran over to her son and fell on her knees. She put her arms around his shoulders. Toddy boy, are you all right?" She looked over to where I was peeking from under the bed. "You little cur, what have you done to Toddy?" Todd coughed out. "Oh, Mother." He took in 2 jumbo breaths. "I was only trying to help." He was sounding like a horse that had been run too hard in the winter. And look what it's gotten me." Todd pointed at his jaw, and Mrs. Amos and me could both see a perfect print in the shape of my hand welted up on Todd's blubbery cheek. With one quick snatch, she had me from under the bed and out on the floor, laying down next to Todd. "How dare you? This is how you choose to repay me? Not only have you struck him, you have provoked his asthma." Todd said, "I just tried to waken him to make sure he'd gone to the lavatory, Mother. I was just trying to help." He aimed his finger dead at me and said, "And look at him, Mother. This one's got bedwetter written all over him."
What's the lavatory? Dyson? The bathroom. If you keep reading down in that paragraph, it talks about this one's got bedwetter written all over him. So if you didn't wet the bed, you would go and use so you can use context clues even if you don't know what lavatory means to figure out the lavatory means bathroom. Tell me about Todd and his mother's personality. Lily? They're selfish, okay. How do you think Todd's mother feels about him? Amina? She what? How does Todd's mother feel about Todd, not about Bud? Yes, absolutely. What text evidence do you have for that, Amina? Exactly. She just read that whole paragraph, guys, at home about how dare you. This is how you choose to repay me. Not only have you struck him, you provoked his asthma. That was her text evidence that said that she spoils him. And I completely agree. You know what you just did? You just taught my lesson for next week. You know how we're doing context clues this week? Next week is text evidence. She just taught the lesson. She already knows. She made an inference about Todd's mother, that she spoils him, and then she went to the text and pulled a sentence out of the text that justified it. That's exactly what I'm teaching you next week when we finish context clues. She's already doing it in a 6th grade text. Great job. Any questions? All right, let's roll on.
I'm not bragging when I say that I'm one of the best liars in the world, but I got to tell you, Todd was pretty doggone good. It seemed like he knew some of the same things I know, the things that I think of all the time and try to remember so I don't make the same mistake more than 7 or 8 times. Shucks, I've got so many of them rememorized that I had to give them numbers. And it seemed like Todd knew number 3 of Bud Caldwell's rules and things for having a funner life and making a better liar out of yourself. Rules and things, number 3. If you've got to tell a lie, make sure it's simple and easy to remember. Todd had done that, but this wasn't really a good test because Mrs. Amos had her ears set to believe anything Todd said. In her eyes, Todd's mouth was a prayer book. But I can't blame Todd for lying like that. Having someone who likes you so much that they think everything you say is the truth has got to be a liar's paradise. That might feel so good it can make you want to quit lying. But maybe not, because Todd hadn't quit lying since the second I came to his house. What had really happened was that I woke up from a good sleep because it felt like a steam locomotive had jumped the tracks and chugged its way straight into my nose. When I jerked up in bed and opened my eyes, Todd was standing next to me with a yellow pencil in his hand. He was looking at it like it was a thermometer and said, "Wow, you got all the way up to R." He turned the pencil toward me, crunched up against the headboard. I saw Ticonderoga printed on the yellow wood. The whole room smelled like the rubber from the eraser, and I was winking and blinking my left eye because it felt like something had poked the back of my eyeball. Todd laughed. "I've never gotten it in as deep as the N on any of you other little street urchins. I just might enjoy your stay here. Who knows what other things you could be number 1 in, buddy?"
All right. What is he using street urchin for there? He's using it in place of what? What could we substitute there and the sentence would still make sense? I've never gotten it any. He's sticking the pencil up his nose, and it seems like he's done this when? Before on other kids there, right? Now, Lynn, what could we put there on any of you other street urchins? Orphans, dirty little child kind of thing. Right. Good. So we found them fighting at the beginning, and now we're kind of going back and getting the backstory of kind of what started it all. Does that make sense? Okay.
I'd already told him twice that my name was Bud, not Buddy. I didn't care that Todd Amos was 12 years old. I didn't care that he was twice as big as me, and I didn't care that his mother was being paid to take care of me. I wasn't about to let anybody call me Buddy and stick a pencil up my nose all the way to the R. I swung as hard as I could at Todd's big balloon head. Somewhere between the time I threw my punch and the time it landed, my fist came open, and when my hand landed, it made a pop like a .22 rifle going off. Todd fell on the floor like he'd been cold-cocked. He sputtered and muttered and felt the spot where I'd slapped him. Then a big smile came on his face, and he stood up and started walking real slow toward where I was.
Once he hit him, why did he smile? He hit him, and then...
It didn't hurt.
No, I think it hurt. But what did it do?
It didn't hurt me.
Okay. Exactly. He said, "You hit me. Now what? I've got the ammunition I need to be able to handle you. I got this mark right here, and I'm going to show my mama, and now she will be okay that I done whooped your butt." Does that make sense? How many mama and daddy say, "You better not start a fight, but if somebody hits you, you better handle them"? I know a lot of mamas and daddies say that, right? I don't say that to my children, but if your mom and daddy said that, that's sometimes that's what parents say. And that's what Todd's parents said, right? Todd's parents said, it gives us, the implies, or we can infer that he has been taught that if somebody starts a fight, it's okay. So he was smiling because he then had the justification that now he can hit him. Come on. It's not working. It messed up like this yesterday. He untied his robe and dropped to the floor like he was getting ready to do some hard work. I jumped to the floor and got my fist up. Todd might have been bigger than me, but he better be ready. This wasn't going to be a bird's nest sitting on the ground for him. He could kiss my wrist if he thought I was going to let him whip me up without a good fight. Being brave was kind of stupid. Even though Todd was puffy, rich old mama's boy who wore a robe and slippers, he could hit like a mule. And it wasn't too long before I decided enough was enough. But the story that Mrs. Amos was hearing from her lying son was only that Todd had tried to wake me up so I could go to the bathroom. Will you put that stapler down? And we're at the top of page 14. You should be following along. Mrs. Amos hated bedwetters more than anything in the world, and my bed had a sticky, hot, smelly rubber baby sheet on it. She said it wasn't anything personal, and after I'd proven myself for 2 or 3 months, I could get a proper cloth sheet. But until then, she had to protect her mattress. She pulled Todd to his feet and led him to the door. She looked over at me. "You are a beastly little brute, and I will not tolerate even one night with you under my roof. Who knows what you will be capable of while we slept?" The door shut behind them, and I heard a key jiggle in the lock. I plugged the right side of my nose and tried real hard to blow the smell of rubber out of the left side. The key jiggled in the lock again. This time when the door opened, Mr. Amos was standing there with Mrs. Amos. He was carrying my suitcase. Uh-oh. They looked inside. I could tell because of the twine that held it together was in a kind of knot that I didn't know. This was wrong. They had promised they'd keep it safe and not look in it. They laughed at me when I made them promise, but they did promise. "Boy," Mrs. Amos said, "I'm not in the least bit surprised by your show of ingratitude. Lord knows I have been stung by my own people before. But take a good look at me, because I am one person who is totally fed up with you and your ilk. I do not have time to be put up with the foolishness of those members of our race who do not want to be uplifted. In the morning, I'll be getting in touch with the home, and much as a bad penny, you shall be returning to them. I am a woman of my word, though, and you shall not spend one night in my house." All right, tell me about that whole little speech Mrs. Amos just gave. What insight does it give you about her race? She said the members of our race, my own people. What do we find out there? Thank you, Kamaya. Thank you, Kamaya. Kamaya is at home. She says she is what? Well, she's not really race. She's black, and he is too. So we find out that whatever race he is, she is too. And we find out that I don't know. We really don't know that it's African American. I guess we just guess. I guess, yeah. But the what she says, I am one person who's fed up with you and your ilk. Take 10 seconds and tell me what word we could put there for ilk. I know he knows. Somebody asked him. Okay. So you remember when your text stopped with the insert? What do you have to do? Ilk. What could we put there for ilk? I'm one person who's totally fed up with you and your ilk. Lily, what could we put in that box? Disgustingness? I don't know. Technology's not my favorite.
Behavior.
Your what?
Foolishness.
Behavior.
Your sort, your kind. Yes, ma'am. Your what? Your behavior. Destiny. I'm sorry? Your disrespect. Good. Good, good, good. Yes, ma'am, Amina. Your problems. Okay, good. I'm going to sit over here in this. I was sitting over there because I was trying to do the CD, but since the CD is not working, Miss Russell's going. You're going to get Miss Russell instead. I like listening to the CD because I feel like that guy's voice is really good, but it's not working. So, my first year teacher. No, actually, not my first year teacher. A couple years after that, but I normally don't sit over here. Okay, so we're on. Huh? Where at? No, it'll be all right. If it throws me in the floor, pick me back up. She looked at her husband. Mr. Amos will show you to the shed tonight, and you can come back tomorrow for breakfast before you go. I do hope your conscience plagues you, because you have ruined things for many others. I do not know if I shall ever be able to help another child in need. I do know I shall not allow vermin to attack my poor baby in our own house. What's vermin? Use context clues. I shall not allow blank to attack my baby. Yes.
Violence.
Violent. Louder. Okay. So there's something she's calling Bud. Yes, sir. A what? A stranger. A vermin is actually a small bug, like you call Terminex for a vermin. But good guesses. She talked like this, and she wasn't even a preacher or a teacher. Shucks, she talked strange like this, and she wasn't even a librarian. I only half listened to what Mrs. Amos was saying. I was too busy keeping my eye on my suitcase, wondering if they'd stolen anything from it and thinking about getting even. When I thought she was done talking, I reached my hand out for my suitcase but she told Mr. Amos, "Oh no, we shall hold his beloved valuables," she laughed. "This shall be our assurance that nothing comes up missing from the house and that this little animal is still here in the morning. He is far too attached to those treasures to go anywhere without them." So the suitcase is going to be like collateral. They're going to lock him in the shed, and then they're going to say, that way he won't steal anything because he has to get his suitcase back. Mrs. Amos was one of those grown-ups who could always think of one more thing to say. "And that is not all. Before you retire to the shed, you shall go to Todd and apologize, or I shall be forced to give you the strapping of your life." I'd been so worried about my suitcase that I didn't even notice the thick black razor strap hanging out of Mrs. Amos's hands. What's a strapping? A whooping, that's right. They're going to whoop him. Oh, like a leather belt they're going to whoop him with. She didn't have to worry. I'd apologize. One beating from these Amoses was enough for me. What was the first beating? Who did he get the first beating from? Todd, that's right. She grabbed my arm. Mr. Amos walked out of the room with my suitcase, and Mrs. Amos pulled me down the hall to Todd's room. We stood outside the door listening to Todd groan. When Mr. Amos came back, my suitcase was gone. He'd been so quick, I knew that bag couldn't be far away. She tapped on Todd's door and said, "Toddy, may we come in?" Toddy's groans got a lot louder. Finally, he said, "Yes, Mother." "Come in." We opened the door, and as soon as he saw me, Toddy got a real terrified look on his face. He scooched up to the headboard and wrapped his arms around his head. Miss Amos gave me a shake. "Well?" I put my head down and started shooting out apologies like John Dillinger shoots out bullets. I aimed at Todd first. "I know it was wrong of me to hit you. I know you were only trying to help, and I'm very sorry for what I did." I looked at Miss Amos and Mr. Amos. "And sir, I'm sorry I got you out of your sleep." He rolled his eyes, and that was enough for him. He's shooting out apologies like John Dillinger. Using context clues, who is John Dillinger? A what? A Western like cowboy, right? Why is he shooting out apologies? Does he really mean it? Is he really sorry? He He just doesn't want to get whipped. He just doesn't want to get handled with them, right? Mrs. Amos was going to be the hardest because just like her ears were set to believe anything that came out of Todd's lips, they were set to not believe anything I said. And if I didn't lie good enough, she was going to use the strap on me. These Amoses might look like a bunch of cream puffs, but if it was anything like Todd, I bet she could pack a real wallop. And Mrs. Amos, I'm so grateful for all your help, and I'm really, really sorry. I looked up and could see she needed more. If you give me another chance, I promise I'll do a whole lot better. Please don't go to the home. Please don't send me back. Shucks. Going back to the home was just what I wanted to do. But I was being just like Brer Rabbit in one of those books Mamas used to read to me at night when he yelled out, "Please, Brer Fox, don't throw me in that pricker patch. Please, please." All right, what's the story of Brer Rabbit and Brer Fox? Does anybody know? All right, in Brer Rabbit and Brer Fox wants to get, the rabbit wants to get thrown into the pricker patch because he can move and he won't get pricked by the prickers. Because he's very agile and he can move all around the prickers. So when he says, "Don't throw me in that pricker patch," he's really meaning what? He does want to get thrown in there, and that's what Bud's saying here. He's saying, "Please don't send me to the home," but what does he really want? He wants to get sent to the home, right? That was another one of Bud Caldwell's rules and things to have a funner life and make a better liar out of yourself. Rules and things number 118. You have to give adults something that they think they can use to hurt you by taking it away. That way they might not take something else away that you really do want. Unless they're crazy or real stupid, they won't take everything, because if they did, they wouldn't have anything to hold over your head to hurt you with later. I stopped talking and gave Mrs. Amos a chance to jump right in. She held her hand in my face and said, "Enough, Mr. Amos, give him a blanket and a pillow." Off the bed he was in and put him in the shed. Todd said, "Yeah, buddy, keep a sharp eye out for vampire bats in the shed." It was like a miracle. Todd's asthma was gone and he turned into a real chatterbox. "Oh, and watch out for those spiders and centipedes, buddy. The last kid who got put in there got stung so bad he swole up big as a whale. And when we got him out in the morning." All right, is putting kids in the shed something that the Amoses have done before? Yes.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't look scared enough because Todd kept going. The kid before that hadn't even been found to this day. All that's left is a big puddle of his blood on the floor. Isn't that right, Mother? Mrs. Amos said, "Now, Toddy, hush up. You'll tire yourself out more." Is Todd telling the truth? What's he trying to do? Scare him. I noticed that she never denied the things that Todd said about the vampires and centipedes and spiders and puddle of blood. As I followed Mr. Amos, I kept a sharp eye out for my suitcase. When we got to the kitchen, the first thing I saw was there was a double-barrel shotgun leaning up against the side of the icebox. You have? I didn't have time to wonder why they'd be so scared they'd keep a big gun like that out in the open, because I spotted my suitcase slid way under the kitchen table. I didn't let Mr. Amos know I'd seen it, but it did make me get a lot calmer. We went back out of the back kitchen door and down the steps in the dark. We walked around to the back of the shed and put a key in a padlock. A chain rattled and the lock came off and the door creaked open. Even though it was nighttime, there was a whole different, scarier kind of dark in the shed. A colder dark with more grays and shadows. An old smell leaked out, and it seemed like it was perfect smell that all this gray would have. Mr. Amos nudged me, and I took a baby step into the shed. He could kiss my wrist if he thought I was going to beg him to say things like, "I'll do anything you folks ask me to if you don't lock me up in here alone." I squeezed my tongue between my teeth and held it still, because I know a lot of times your brain might want to be brave, but your mouth might let some real chicken sounding stuff fall out. I stood a little bit inside and looked around. Right under the window was a pile of stacked wood. There were a bunch of dusty spider webs in front of the little window, and someone had pasted old yellow newspaper over the glass so that the kids who got locked in here couldn't see out. Mr. Amos handed me the blanket and pillow and gave me another nudge. I took 2 more steps in. I looked down at the floor. If I was like a normal kid, I would have busted out crying, but I just stood there breathing hard. It was a good thing I bit my tongue because I came real close to saying one of those stupid begging words to Mr. Amos right in the middle of the floor. There was a big black stain in the dirt. Is that the blood from another kid? Maybe. They really were going to make me sleep in the shed with a patch of blood from the kid who had disappeared out of here a couple weeks ago. The floor went completely black when Mr. Amos pulled the door shut. I couldn't see it now, but I memorized the shape, exact shape the stain was in. The padlock snapped shut with the loudest click I'd ever heard. And we will pick up with chapter 3 tomorrow, and Bud is locked in the shed. So he's going to have to sleep there tonight. All right, I'm going to give directions and go over everything else that's on your agenda for today, and then I'm going to let you get started. Nyana, are you in this class? No, ma'am. You're not in this class, darling. It is. We got to go over this quickly. Nyana, you're in next block. You should be in math right now. Okay. All right, I'm going to go over what we're going to do, what you have left to do, and then I'm going to give you the rest of the period to do it. Sound good? All right, your next assignment is a context clue practice. It is a Google Doc. So when you click on that link from Canvas, it's going to bring up a Google Doc. You're going to share it as your name or whatever you want to share it as, context clue practice. You're going to type in it. When you click on it, it automatically forces you to make a copy. Yeah. Okay? So you're going to save it as your name, type in it, complete it, and then you're going to upload it. Down here in that assignment, you should have a place to upload it. Do you guys see it? It doesn't show it on mine because I'm on teacher view. Yeah. You have a place that says upload it. You put the URL and submit. You're just going to copy what's in the URL box and submit it to me. Or you can click share and click get shareable link, and you can put that in the URL box. Do you understand how to do that? Have you done it for other teachers? Lily, have you done that for other teachers? You know how to do it? Okay. All right. Y'all need to stop working on those computers and listen to what I'm saying because I'm getting directions for the whole period. Okay. The second thing that you have to do after the context clue practice is you have your first skill builder. Every Wednesday, we're going to have an EOG practice skill builder. They are for a quiz grade every single Wednesday. Okay. You are going to click on the PDF to see the passage and the questions. Then you will click on the quiz to enter your answers. Okay, so you click here and you will open up the PDF, read the passage. You can get a sticky note out or a sheet of scrap paper, put what the answers are on a piece of paper, or you can put it in a screen to the right and put the quiz on the screen to the right. But you have to enter your answers in the second click, which is right under it. This click right here, you will click on, and this is where you will enter. You should have a quiz pop up. Oh, it says unpublished. I got to fix that. I'll fix it right now after I get off Zoom. So it will be clickable. Then you'll click, all it'll have is A, B, C, D. Lily, are you with me? All it'll have is A, B, C, Ds. It does not have the answer choices. So you have to look at this PDF to know what you want. If it was me, I would look at this. I would get a sheet of notebook paper. I would write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I would put the answer to 1 is A. The answer to 2 is C. The answer to 3 is D. The answer to 4 is B. And then I would get all the 8 answers. Then I would click on the quiz in Canvas and just input the answers. Got it? All right, and then your final thing that you're going to do for today. Can I show you what the quiz is going to look like? This is what the quiz looks like. So you can see it's just question 1, A, B, C, or D. Question 2, so the question, you have to look at the PDF to know what the questions are. All right, the last thing for today. is your exit ticket. Every single day we do our exit ticket. All right? So you have 3 things that you have to get done for me today before tomorrow's class. You have a context clue practice. You're going to turn it in through Canvas on the assignment. You have a quiz, the Lost Colony is EOG practice. Read carefully, take your time. Submit on Canvas. And then the 3rd thing is your exit ticket. Yes, sir. Awesome. So you should already have a lot of background knowledge. Maylin? Get all this done, and then you can do that. All right, we need a word of the day. The word of the day is
Candy.
pencil. Pencil. Todd took a pencil and stuck it up Bud's nose. All right, 3 things that you, Lily, 3 things that you need to get done. Context clue practice, Lost Colony, EOG practice quiz, and exit ticket. The word of the day is pencil. Questions for me? Email me. Thank you, Kamaya. Your name is not up there. Did you scroll all the way to the bottom? I think I added it late. Did you scroll all the way to the bottom, Kamaya? Let me look. All right, Kamaya, I'm gonna look right now, okay? If it's not up there, I'll add it. I'm gonna go ahead and end, and I will see, actually, I'm gonna end the video. Bye.